first here we have my co-host Roy Master4 in the bottom left. Hi, Roy.
Hi, everyone.
And
Dr. Ben.
Directly underneath me, I have Shorley, who was not responsible at all for us being late.
Yep, that's me.
And then in the top right, I have Lucor the Dragon.
Hi, gamers. Hi, that's me.
And then not quite a dragon, but a bird. We have Mr. Streaming Falcon.
That's a great segue. Hi.
I did my best. And then our guest this episode is one of the Nicks, who I'm very excited to have on the show. Hi, Nick.
Hi, what's happening? Thanks for having me.
Of course. So the way that this is going, actually, Roy, do you want to introduce people to some of the changes, or like any of the bigger changes you wanted to talk about?
Let me bring up the list of changes and stuff.
Sure.
So the big thing is that we can't bring games that have come out within the last year. So you're not going to see Blueprints tonight. You're not going to see Silk Song. Those kinds of games.
I thought Silk Song came out like 6 years ago.
You know, you'd think that. I mean, it's been in everyone's mind for 6 years, but no. Steam just says it like came out like 2 months ago.
Oh,
I'm shocked.
Me too. So yeah, no games from within the last year. Unfortunately, that means no blueprints, but just wait, blueprintsers. Our time will arrive.
So the lowest voted games each time will have an episode timer instead of a calendar timer. So they're banned for a full season instead of just 6 months.
A full season, which is the equivalent of about a year, probably.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And with that, it's only the runner-up on each poll gets saved. So we're not going to be like the top 3 games on each poll are eligible to come back. So there's going to be more banned games.
A lot more banned games. So the way that a couple of the changes that we're making it is made in an effort to get a little more variety of franchises locked into the show. So hopefully that's a part of it. Also, I don't know if you mentioned this, Roy, but we're also doing the no subsequent games in a franchise for the follow-up episodes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
For like 2 episode buffer.
Yeah.
So you don't have like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 16, whatever.
Yeah, no Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 4, Dark Souls 5.
Does that include Bloodborne and Elden Ring? Are those considered Dark Souls?
We'll save that conversation for another day. But anyway, we do have our we have our list of who's going first. So Roy, do you want to tell people about how we put the order together, and then give chat the order in which we're going to present today?
All right. Well, the order was done by, typically I do OpenCritic scores first. Then if there's a tie, then I go to Metacritic, or if something is too old, I find some kind of resource to tell me to give me an approximate score. But OpenCritic is the first one.
Cool.
First barrier, basically. Like if you're on OpenCritic, I use that score to determine our drafting order. The lowest score gets to draft first. If they want to go first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. And my game was the lowest score, so I got to draft first, and I picked to go first.
Hooray. So Roy's going to be going up first. As always, just a reminder, we don't look at chat a whole lot, but if you tag me in this particular case, in all other cases, please tag Roy. But while Roy is presenting, if you tag me, I will be able to ask 1 or 2 questions from chat as a part of the follow-up to Roy's presentation. So if you have one, we will try and pick like 1 or 2 questions per thing. We are trying to keep the show moving along a little faster this year. And in hopes that it'll stay under 2 hours. It'll make it easier for us to post elsewhere, like on YouTube and stuff like that. And everybody, just being respectful of everybody's time. So, Roy, whenever you're ready to go, I've got your time. I'm ready to start.
The video looks a little cropped on
Which side? On the bottom?
Bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Don't worry, chat. I remember what I'm doing.
Oh, and the rest of the order, we got me, Falcon, Nick, Ben, Shorley, then Lucor. That's the presentation order.
Hooray. Okay. I think it's fine now. At least a little bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, everyone make sure you have this, or everyone, all the panelists, make sure you have this up. This video is 4 minutes, 59 seconds. I'm going to take full advantage of this. It's time.
Hey! Unlock the thing! Take the chain off!
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere! I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
Welcome to La Mulana, quite possibly the most infamous game in the Epilogue community, though admittedly, not for the most glowing of reasons. It is janky and unforgiving, with many people not giving it a fair shake beyond the meme it has become. When you dig a little deeper, however, there is a spectacular gem of a game waiting to be unearthed. Even before getting into the meat of La Mulana, you can't deny the influence it has had on the Epilogue community. Whenever anyone makes a poll for what game they want to play in the Discord, someone is bound to drop a llama emote. What other game has had that kind of impact? Does that not make it an essential part of our community on its own? Back to the topic at hand, La Mulana hits an incredibly specific niche, one that no other game fills. It fits somewhere between a standard Metroidvania like Hollow Knight, a Brainia like Outer Wilds, and a straight-up puzzle game like Obra Dinn. You're an archaeologist, exploring ancient ruins and discovering the secrets buried inside. You might feel like Nathan Drake or Indiana Jones, but La Mulana doesn't hold your hand. Instead of looking through some old journal for clues, you are creating a journal yourself from scratch based on the tablets you read and the observations you are making. Quite possibly an actual physical journal too. You're not even able to read said tablets inside the ruins until you obtain both a hand scanner and a translation software. There ain't no handouts here. The ruins aren't going to play nice either. There are traps everywhere, and ominous eyes waiting to smite you if you so much as tickle something sacred. There is a clear message here. Intruders are not welcome. It's not all hopeless, though. Plenty of prior adventurers have stumbled in here. Oh, wait. They're dead. I wonder what from... Oh, yeah. Should have seen that coming. There's this level of environmental storytelling that is diegetic and engaging with the gameplay. Some late-game traps are out of nowhere, yes, but there's a logical reason for that. No living soul has gotten that far. This link between narrative and mechanics is never more evident than in the primary gameplay loop. In other games, the descriptions and locations of an item give some neat background information, like the pebbles in Bloodborne being petrified eyes dropped by crow enemies. In La Mulana, you will not progress very far if you don't understand the lore. An early example of this is the Mausoleum of Giants. This zone tells the story of a race of giants who underwent an internal civil war. By piecing together which giant is which, you'll be able to gather new items and even summon the boss. Why would anyone play a game this complex and unforgiving? It's that same feeling of a Souls-like, the eventual triumph over a puzzle that has been stumping you for hours when something finally clicks. It's also got that same feeling that games like Outer Wilds and Tunitube, where it's just so much fun to watch someone else go through the same struggles you went through. There's a reason that fanatics such as myself are begging everyone to try this.
Gaze up at the heavens from this place, and the hidden realm shall be yours.
Yes, this clip is from the second game. I think it gets the point across, though. There's so many great things about La Mulana. The catchy music, the tricky yet memorable puzzles, the incredible world building. La Mulana isn't for everyone, but no game is. It's such a unique experience that I think everyone should at least give a fair chance, at least until you find the Holy Grail, La Mulana's version of fast travel. Don't feel bad if you have to ask for help either. La Mulana is massive, and keeping track of all the little threads can feel daunting. But for those who can weather the storm, you'll find one of the best damn games that has ever been made. And there we go. It's finally been brought.
Okay, chat, you know what to do. Tag me if you have a question for Roy. But for now, I will give the panelists about 5 minutes. We're going to try and be a little bit flexible, but about 5 minutes to echo questions and concerns. We will start that timer after the first panelist has asked a question. So, that being said, does anybody have anything? I definitely do, so I can go if nobody's got anything off the cuff.
Oh boy.
By all means, Ben.
Okay, Roy, you just got to explain to me. This game is ugly to look at. This game is ugly to look at. How do I get around that? How do I get around this? Like, I don't want to look at this game. Is it going to be one of those things where it's like the more I play it, the more it starts to click? I'm like, oh yeah, this art style actually rules, or what's the deal?
I think it's like really well done sprite work all around, and like you can see things in the background, like the skeletons everywhere are telling you where traps are. Like paying attention to everything is actually an important part of the gameplay. Like just on the screen I brought here, like you can this little symbol by the ladder that tells you where you're going. And like it's not just telling you where you're going, it's actually a number in the language. It's telling you which zone in particular. It's everything's linked together. And I think it's really well done sprite work myself. I don't think no, that was blood.
That Bloodborne game looks pretty good.
I don't know if the Bloodborne game seems pretty good. It's pretty it's dark and gloomy.
Roy, I have a super simple one. I know this doesn't really like amount to much in the grand scheme of the argument, but I am curious. What's like the history in this game? I've only heard of the name. Is it like an indie game? Is it older? Maybe like PS1 era game? What's the history?
It is an indie game. There was an original like MSX based game that some indie developer in Japan made. This is a remake of that. That the MSX like fan game or like flash game in a way was based on this old MSX game called Maze of Gallius.
Gotcha.
Which that's the inspiration for this game in particular. That game is very much like 8-bit in a way, or like 16-bit maybe. So this is a huge remake compared to that. They've redone all the graphics, redone a lot of the puzzles that didn't really make sense at the time.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
So this remake came out, I think, in 2012, or might have been, I think it was actually a little bit earlier, like 2009 or something, on the Wii, of all things.
And today I learned. Do we have any other questions from panelists?
I think I got one. I just played in light of like retro type, sprite work games. I just played Yumi Nikki, which is a very obscure, very like doesn't give you any sort of hand holding or guide in what way. You're saying that this game is like unforgivingly hard, but like on a like a not in a hand holding way, but like how is it on like a giving you every opportunity to learn? Because and the comparison comes from like when I played Yumi Nikki, like it's nothing. Like you just gotta like play it and figure it out. Is it kind of like on that line, or how do they manage like keeping you engaged? Like, oh well, that was my fault. That trap, I should have paid attention to that.
It's mostly just I should have paid attention to that. It's not completely on your own. There are a couple nice NPCs in the game who give you some sort of hints. One of the NPCs is kind of well known for just like sending you an email like, I miss you. It's an emergency, come back now. Oh, I just wanted to see you. But no, it's not as unforgettable. I actually haven't heard of that game you're talking about, like Yumi. What?
Oh, really? I figured that would be something up your alley. Yeah. It was a viewer recommended game, but I just watching this, it kind of the description you gave me through the video, it just kind of reminded me of that like obscure. You got to just play it to find out. So I was curious to know, like, because I'm all for hard games. Like you made the Souls comparison, but when it gets into that weird like early stage video games where it's like, oh, bro, you should have just known that. Like, I don't know. That's when it gets a little risque for me.
I think it's not that unforgiving as long as you're actually taking notes. Like you're writing things down, you're taking
Pen and paper
screenshots.
type game.
Yeah, if you're actually making note of everything, you'll be fine, I think. If you're like just blinding through, relying on memory to remember something from 10 hours ago, you're going to struggle. Or you could be like Azure was and like I send you hints or like reminders of you could do this or like remember this thing you could have done. It's okay to play with a guide to help you out. I know this is like a 50-hour game potentially.
Do we have any quick hitters?
What can I ask what this I played this, but I can't remember. What was the like if you die, where do you go back to?
You go back to the last Grail point, which is the fast travel location. Though that happens once you get fast travel. If you don't have fast travel yet, it just sends you back to the title screen, and hopefully you saved recently. I mean, a lot of old games were like that, Super Metroid. But once you do get the Holy Grail and you get access to fast travel, it'll auto-save each time you go pass by a fast travel spot.
Falcon perfectly stole our chat question, so I think we're all good here. One last round of applause for Roy Master 4 on the excellent presentation. Well done, Roy. Roy, who do we have up next?
Next, we have Falcon.
Falcon. All right, Falcon, are you sharing something? Okay.
Yeah, let me get it up.
Let me make this disappear real quick so you all don't see anything too much. Say goodbye to all the panelists for a moment, just a moment. Phoenix, thank you for the 75 monther. Phoenix just resubscribed to EGTV for 75 months. I'm pretty sure Phoenix is the only person who subscribes to this channel. Hopefully we're going to be starting to use it more. The next thing we're doing, chat, is we're getting emotes of people on the EG staff. So we're gonna have a Falcon emote, a fresh Falcon emote here soon. I'm very excited for that. So we'll be doing some fun stuff there.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here.
Okay, yeah, just I should have it whenever you're ready.
Of course, I had to start off the new season with La Mulana, and I had to make sure to go first.
You had to go first. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, Falcon. Whenever you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use part of my time here just to do a sound check for you all. I just want to know if you're all hearing this.
I hear it on through Discord.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I want to know if it's like loud enough. It's not too loud. Is that all okay? Okay, cool. It's a little low.
Chat's saying it's a little low. I agree. It could probably be. Yeah, that's better.
Is that
perfect?
Good? All right. Cool. Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm bringing. I gotta stop looking at Nick dancing. I'm bringing Persona 5 today. I think I just sent Roy Persona 5, but I think I'd specifically say Persona 5 Royal. I had a whole thing prepared for today to give a speech about. I was taking notes in my phone, and I was like, I have trouble doing that with this game because I just kind of want to talk about it off the cuff. This game has become not just in my eyes like an essential, but also something that I will think about and talk about for a long time now to come. So anyway, let's just get into it. I instead decided to make a few bullet points to kind of pretend like I'm having a conversation with all of you throughout the presentation. So Falcon, come on, PowerPoint work for me. Falcon, I have a question. What even is a persona? Persona 5 is the 5th game in the Persona line, which if you know Shin Megami Tensei, it's sort of in that line. It's a turn-based RPG that's very, very heavily narrative driven. I recommend specifically Persona 5, and I'll get into why. But essentially, you play as a high schooler, and you have to live the life of a high schooler while also living the life of a crime fighter. Right? This is like basically like Spider-Man, but with demons. So, there we go. Falcon, I am deeply concerned. What if this game takes too long? I get this all the time from people. Like, what if Persona takes too long? Fair. I have been playing Persona 5. I'm going to be fully transparent. I have not finished Persona 5. And I deemed it worthy to bring to Epilogue Essentials because I am 102 hours into the game and I have zero clue where I am in the game story. I could be near the beginning. I could be near the end. I have no freaking idea, but it's worth your investment. I've been playing this game since July. I recommend playing this in little bits at a time. It's worth the play. It is a very long game, but you can play it little bits at a time. If you really are worried like, oh, about continuity or something, get a little notepad and just like take a few notes of like where you are. And it's like, I want to remember to do this the next time I play. Easy peasy. Our buddy Anch Infinite suggested you literally play one in-game day at a time because it keeps track of days. It goes based on a calendar system. So right now I'm on, for anyone who wants to know, I'm on October 29th in the game, right? I know that. So people are doing math in their head like, where's he at in the story? Like, yeah. Falcon, I don't want to go to school. I already did that. I'm not a high schooler anymore. Tough, suck it up, go to school. It's funny. It's funny to be there and to realize that you are a grown human being being like, I have to worry about when my days off are from school. Oh my gosh, it's fine. Am I gonna have to worry about what the music keeps restarting. Am I gonna have to worry about what high school girls think about me? Yes, you are. Okay, it's all right. Deal with it. I get that all the time too. I don't want to worry about high schoolers think about me. Deal with it. It's worth it. It's very funny to play this game and to think, oh my gosh, like I'm kind of going through high school drama while also like trying to save people's lives. It's funny. Okay, Falcon, you've expertly addressed what the game is in a brief overview, but also addressed some common questions and concerns. Please sell me on this game. I will try to do that now. There's a reason everyone's telling you to play Persona. There's a reason why Emma had a presentation where she said that Persona is very EG pilled and EG coded because people in EG talk about this game a lot. I know that. That's why I wanted to play it for myself because I had never played one before. Persona 5 Royal is a great entry point into this series. If there's one game where I'd recommend you start, I'd say probably Persona 5 Royal. The newest entry into the series, lots of quality of life features. It's really cheap too. It's been on Switch for $15. It's on Steam for like $20. You can get it real cheap for a really, really, really long game. Music is top notch. I've been playing it this whole time. The art design is gorgeous. It invokes comic book vibes like Beautiful Joe and other things like that. The director of the game like made like Bayonetta and a lot of those games that you know are very flashy. The dungeons are fun. Lots of times you play a game with dungeons, they're not fun. They're kind of the same old thing. You want to get through them just to get the next point of the story. They're fun and they're different. And I was worried about it going into the game. Get through the tutorial dungeon. They changed. They're awesome. And last but not least, you'll be challenged by the combat. Some people won't be. Some people are absolute gamers. I get it. I find it really fun to play like a turn-based strategy game that makes me constantly think about things differently. Yeah.
Okay, time is up.
Fair enough. I'm gonna hide my last slide. I'm gonna put this on because this is me mocking Roy. Can I leave the music on?
Yeah, you can leave the music on.
Yeah. Oh wait, hold on. How do I?
Everyone give a round of applause.
There you go.
Well done. Round of applause, chat, for Falcon's presentation. Well done. Let us know, assuming you all can still, the audio balance is okay. Roy, you want to go ahead and get the question started?
Yeah, I'll start off with a lowballish question just based on like the presentation. I don't think you ever went over what exactly the gameplay is. Like there's combat, you're a high schooler, you're a crime fighter. Does this play like Spider-Man? What does this play like?
I did. I said it was a turn-based RPG that's very narratively based. But one of the things I wanted to try to do was avoid telling people specifically what happens in the game, which is very hard to do. It's really hard to do because once you start doing that, you start kind of giving away points of the game, and then like the surprise is ruined. I feel like this is a game that you should go into knowing nothing about like what's in the game. So that's why I wanted to leave it very basic. Like, this is a turn-based RPG, but it is very, very narratively driven, you know. And for a little extra detail, like sometimes you will be battling things turn-based, like with captures that are kind of akin to Pokemon, right? But they're demons. And other times you'll just be running around, going through Japan, talking to people. It's like Pokemon, and exploring story, and that's really, really it. You know, you should just play it for yourself. I'm never going to tell people that, like, you know, anything is like affordable, because however much money people have means different things to different people. But in terms of games and the amount of time that you have and everything, like, to play this game, $15, $20 is a value for this. It's worth trying.
All right, do we have any more questions from the panelists?
Yeah. So you said the combat can be challenging to some. Not I, but no, but so how do you think that this game makes like grinding not an issue? Obviously, a big complaint with, I feel like, a lot of JRPGs and turn-based games in general. How do you feel like this game like handles the grinding and makes it, you know, as less monotonous as it could be, you know?
Yeah. No, that's actually fantastic. My intro into this game series is actually Shin Megami Tensei, so like the other side of it, which is like, I want to say like more like a dark Persona, sort of. Like, Persona deals with heavy stuff. That game's dark. That game has such a grind to it, like some old school Final Fantasies, that they added DLC that you can pay for to make the grind easier, and it's like, come on, man, like, maybe your game's just too grindy, right? I can say that going through this game, I haven't had to grind extra. Just like, if I go and I do my thing and I just explore, that is satisfactory to get through like what I want to do. Especially with Persona 5 Royal, like the Royal Edition, right? Where they like sort of just wanted to add some quality of life. I've seen some people say like, oh, well, I played Persona 5 and now Persona 5 Royal is too easy. And it's like, all right, fine. There's a hard mode if you want that, right? But like, you know, they added like a hard mode too, but they handle it really well. So you are like always progressing.
All right, do we have another question here?
I'll take a shot.
I think we have time for like one more.
I've played a lot of Persona games. I've beaten a lot of them. I want to know, so I'm familiar, I'm just asking for your perspective. I want to know how about the turn-based combat. What do you think separates it from traditional turn-based RPGs people might know more commonly, and why is that important to you? How would you sell that?
I think specifically for me, it's the variety in what you get to do in the combat. So, yeah, I'm like, is this too much now? So you get to either like fight like as a like with like a melee weapon that you have, whichever your character has or whoever on your team has it, or a gun. There's like different guns, and you get to kind of customize like kind of, do you want to go for like damage, accuracy, like bullet count or something like that, or you get to fight with your demons. And the whole like kind of thing about your character is that your character can like take on the power of all of these I keep calling them demons, they're not exactly, but all these like demons is just a kind of a simple word. And because you sort of have a catalog of them, right? Like I mentioned Pokemon before, but you're not limited to just like a team of 6. There are more that you can have, and you get to also sort of create your own catalog. It gives you a variety of things to do. I can say like in one dungeon in particular, I thought I was like flying through the game, and then I got absolutely destroyed, and I realized I had to change my mindset about how to deal with fights. And that's what this game does really brilliantly. Like, I'm in this for the narrative, but then once I get into dungeons, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is actually making me think about combat, and it makes you change your strategy. But the fact of the matter is, you can change your strategy. And that's what's so smart about it, is that it gives you opportunities to do that. It doesn't just make you play the way that like it wants you to play. It lets you play the way you want to play, and then you have to adapt how you play, but you can still find your own way of doing it. So everyone handles their problems differently. And I just think that's so dang smart of a game to do.
All right, I'm just going to give one question from the chat, which was like two questions, kind of combining them. Why Persona 5 over 4 or 3? Like, if you've never played a Persona game, why jump straight into the 5th game?
Honestly, that's actually part of what inspired me to do, like, to just like want to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do off the cuff, kind of like throw in my little speech there and just do bullet points, because in choosing to play specifically this Persona game, I listened to people and I asked people like, what should I play? And a couple of people like said Persona 3. Almost no one said Persona 4, although they've all like mostly said Persona 5 is like pretty much on level of like Persona 4. Like they're kind of like, you know, those are like two really good games. Like, but pretty widely people were like, play Persona 5 and just get Royal. And I played this first because that's what Persona fans told me to play. And I totally get it. Like I get it. It's awesome. And yeah, and I my only basic comparison in this family would be Shin Megami Tensei, because I played a few of those games, and of all of them, you know, this is my favorite. Like, even though like the ones that I started with hold a special place in my heart, nostalgia is a pretty strong thing. This is my favorite, and it's by a landslide. I find this game amazing. So.
All right, I think that's it for questions. Let's give it a hand. Give Falcon a hand.
Y'all will never know what was on my last slide.
We'll never see it coming. So next we have Nick.
All right. Let me get.
Are we swapping the screen around? Okay.
Yes.
Chat, they're disappearing. Everybody say goodbye. It's the last time you're ever gonna see them.
Oh.
Roy, you're dead. You're not allowed to speak from the grave.
All right. Is everything looking good then?
Okay, hold on. Let me boot into the stream and make sure I've got everything set up. Okay. Alrighty. I think we are good. Do you want to do an audio check, or is there?
There's no audio.
Okay, cool.
It's just raw presentation, and I'll be yapping during it.
Sweet.
All right. So here we go. So hello everybody. Today I'll be talking about the game Papers, Please. I have a lot to say here, and it's going to go by fast. So let's get right into it. In Papers, Please, in order to provide for your family, you're assigned as an immigration inspector, set in a totalitarian 20th century inspired country that's just been through a war. The game takes place entirely within a border checkpoint facility where you'll need to process each person that seeks entry. The way the game works each day, there's a timer set, and you start work by calling in the next person in line. You examine their paperwork via the desk space you have, and then can either approve or deny them entry. The government will give you rules that determine what is needed for a valid entry, and for each person that you correctly process, you get paid a bit of cash. While the rules start off simple, they continuously evolve each day by sometimes becoming more complex, maybe adding new mechanics entirely, or sometimes just have a special condition. At the end of the day, you can use the money you've gained to support your family at home. And if you don't make enough money, you'll start to see the effects. Each day, you can get up to 2 warnings for processing people incorrectly. You don't get paid for them, but they act as freebies, aka it's the margin of error that you are allowed. And only after the second warning will you get fined for any more mistakes. This penalty system is critically important because it allows you to take risks on special circumstances, and here's where it gets really cool. For example, let's say you're doing well one day and have no mistakes. Then comes in a mother separated from her family because she lost her passport. Should you choose to believe them, you can allow them passage with no direct loss of cash. Or, as another example, you can use the freebie to accept a bribe that's worth more than you can make. These choices do come back around in one way or another. They're not one-offs. They're not just one-offs. What's incredible about this is that it turns what would otherwise be a normal penalty system in most games into a dynamic resource, which manifests a motivation to play better, as well as, and this is huge, make personalized, ethical decisions in an immersive and intuitive experience. I want to put that on the screen because that's a key takeaway I want you guys to have. Making personalized, ethical decisions in an immersive and intuitive experience is what Papers, Please is all about. This is different from most other games because think of all the times you've been given an ethical choice in a game. Usually they look like this. Now, this isn't a bad way to give the player a choice in a game per se. However, the style is very direct in the sense where the player knows they have to make a choice and they're locked into it, not that the player is intentionally making a choice within the power that they have through normal gameplay of the game. There's a difference in the player's impression of their own autonomy there. This added layer of autonomy is something that Papers, Please thrives with. When you get a choice in Papers, Please, it always goes through how you interface with the game's core gameplay, never outside of it. And when there's unique circumstances or any subplots that happen, which there can be a lot of, you have to make a choice personalized for your playthrough, affected by your past decisions and performance, creating an unforgettable experience, which, by the way, can lead up to 20 different endings. It's a beautiful gameplay loop that very little games are able to accomplish, and Papers, Please does so on top of putting you in a heart-wrenching, drab, but thrilling simulation of a dreadful process in modern society. I have a small anecdote. For people who know, I like my anecdotes. There was one time I was talking to a relative about the game, basically talking up and down about the things that I'm talking about right now, and we're talking about how we both love it. And, at some point I realized in the conversation that they never finished the game. And I'm like, oh, how is that? What's up with that? There were certain subjects and moments in the game that made them too uncomfortable that they could not finish it. It just made them too uncomfortable. You might be thinking, you might have been talking to somebody highly emotional. It was a 30-year-old man and they were an accountant. If anything, they should have been looking at the paperwork and have been like, oh, my favorite, yes, I love paperwork. But no, it made them emotional. They had to stop playing the game. And for what it's worth, it's not just my in-law. There's plenty of discussion surrounding Papers, Please where people could just not finish it because moments made them that uncomfortable. And yet the message still stands. For me, Papers, Please is a shining example of how it's possible for a video game to show someone a new layer of empathy that is genuinely so powerful. Thanks for listening. That's it for me.
Let's give Nick a round of applause.
Well done, well done.
I had to blast that really fast. But
5 minutes is a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to go first with presenting a question?
Yeah, I can start off. First off, major kudos to you, 1N, for coming in out on this project kind of late and throwing together such a stellar presentation. That was amazing. I was very in just like I was locked in the whole time. So, but the real question is, and I've never played the game, but like, what's the loop? Like, how, like, is there random, like, so you finish your game and then you restart? Is it all the same reoccurrences that happen, or is there RNG involved to the people that you meet in the instances that happen?
Fantastic question. I'll try to get through it a lot. Basically, the game takes place over the course of a month, and each day is like one loop of it, and you have a set amount of time to process a set amount of people. Some people are like set in stone, like there's major characters that have major subplots, but other characters are procedural, and that's just to keep it like fresh when it comes to processing the documents, like the puzzle element of the game. And then yeah, the rest of the loop is basically we're talking about. You get money for every correct thing you process. Some people can change that, and then you need that money to effectively what ending you get. However many family members you have alive, what you decide to do with certain other stuff, that's the loop. That's like the technical loop.
So one playthrough will not be identical to the other.
Yeah, but that's mainly split up by who you decide to let through or not let through, and also how much money you make, and that's based off how well you can perform, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm raising my hand. I was gonna ask, like, a theme kind of between like me and Roy there. We were talking about kind of time to play our games, right? How long would you say a one whole playthrough is, and also like is it the type of game that you can kind of pick up and put down easily?
So it's a good question. I went back to my Steam playthrough of the game. I have about 3 or 4 playthroughs, and I have about 15 or so hours on it. So I guess you could say about a few hours ish is a playthrough if you just knock it out in one session. So there's that. But there also is for fun an endless mode if you're just into processing administrative papers. So you can do that. But yeah, I would say about like 4 or 5 hours. It's timed at the end of the day, so it will be about similar to everybody.
That's assuming you actually make it to the end, right? And you don't just
Yes,
starve.
exactly. You could get a bad ending where you can't sustain. You can't provide for your family. Yeah. So
I guess that's a good question from the chat. I'm not sure if you really went over how exactly do the negative consequences actually affect you. Like, okay, you feel bad that your family's starving, but how does it actually affect the gameplay?
So it will change. Well, really, a lot of it is empathetic from that perspective. It's a first-person game. They really sell you on the setting. When it comes to if like your family members start to drop, it's kind of more akin to something like Oregon Trail, where technically, it like beyond just having one less thing to worry about, it doesn't really affect the main gameplay loop. But it's meant to be something as a goal. It's meant to be something you sympathize with. But the main gameplay loop, when it comes to who you let in and don't let in, there's branching paths with that. I feel like I should have harped on that a little more. But there's branching paths with the characters that you see in the checkpoint that can affect later in your playthrough, and a bunch of other unique events. But in terms of the family members, it's kind of just a goal. Hopefully that answered the question well.
All right. We still got like another minute and a half. Anyone else?
Yeah. Do you feel like this game is one of those games where, like, for a perfectionist, it can become kind of a slog to get through because you're trying to get through each day, make sure you have enough money to save all your family, this and that, right? Make sure you get the heat, the medicine, or whatever, all the food. Do you feel like this becomes a game that becomes harder to complete if you're more of a completionist and you want to go for, like, I guess, I know there's multiple endings, but, like, I guess, like, the best ending, right? Where everyone's alive and well.
Well, yeah, in terms, because I'll be honest, at least in my personal playthrough, I did not get the best ending. There is kind of one, but not really. On my first playthrough either. I think if you're somebody that really prioritizes their time by like, I need to have the perfect playthrough first, I'm not replaying this, then this might be a little bit abrasive. But the point is that it's meant to be quick and you go through an experiment and get better at the job. And, that's part of the journey. And there's something one more quick thing to note. I'm not sure how much time I have. If you start a save file and then you want to start a new playthrough, it's possible to start on somewhere in the middle of the month and then branch off of that. You don't have to start exactly from the beginning. You can start a file, finish a playthrough, and then start at one of those days if you want to do different sub branches. So that might help. That might help to alleviate the type of person you're talking about.
What if I don't want to work a job and I want to play a video game?
At some point you'll realize that video games are just jobs with shiny colors and buttons, and you'll grow up and realize that we're just playing a job the whole fucking time.
You're trying to sell us on this game, and it's not a game. Oh boy. All right. Well, we're out of time. Let's give a hand to Nick. That was
done, Nick.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Ben.
All right. Do any of the panelists need a break, or are we good to truck on through? Yep. All right. Mine will take a second. If you can leave that up for a moment, Nick, during my presentation, just so we have the you don't have to leave. Just like leaving the stream up is good. Okay. Chat. They're gonna probably disappear for a second, but don't pay that any mind.
My bad on that.
Oh,
I'm really curious how Ben's going to present this one. This is
a sob story as per usual. I'm going full sob, baby.
It was this game that was responsible for you becoming a doctor, right?
Yes, that's exactly how this worked out.
Surgeon Simulator?
Fuck,
Okay,
dude, I was
let
typing
me-
that.
Let me see if I can get this ready to go. Okay, Roy, I'm ready whenever you are.
All right. Well, I'll start the timer when you start rambling.
Okay. So I hopefully it's okay, chat. Somebody can disrupt me if it's a little loud or whatever. I'm bringing Metroid Prime. So I thought about what I wanted to bring as an opener for season 2, and for me, I wanted to bring something that I don't think is necessarily synonymous with the kinds of games that I talk about all the time. But I really, really, really love this game, and I want to start this presentation by asking, how many of you have seen the movie Elf? I'm sure a lot of you have seen the movie Elf. Will Ferrell, epic movie, right? Will Ferrell travels from the North Pole to New York City to find his biological father. One of the reasons Elf is so good is that it shows us a stranger exploring a strange land, right? It puts us in the shoes of someone who doesn't know the rules and the cultural norms of our world. The first time I look up at the sky inside of Samus's suit in Metroid Prime, raindrops hit her visor and cloud the screen. You can actually see that right here. There's so few instances of playing video games that struck me in the same way that raindrop did, and I think part of it is because that's the moment I knew Metroid Prime was the big leagues. Not only did Prime take the kind of wonderful level design that I loved about Super Metroid and turn it into a three-dimensional space, it fleshed out a weird world by telling a story through visual language, and that's primarily what I want to talk about today. I'm doing this for a few reasons, but the most relevant is that this feels like the most alive world in the genre in video game history. Much like Will Ferrell in Elf, Samus is a stranger in a strange land, only this time, it's a world we don't know either, and we get to experience that through Samus's perspective. Though through her visor, through her suit, through her eyes, Metroid Prime is the ultimate version of exploring a new world, one filled with mystery and life. So, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. I'm a little upset because Roy actually stole the word diegetic from me earlier in his La Mulana presentation. But this was a concept that was introduced to me by one of our staffers, Andy, who talked about diegetic HUDs, or rather user interface elements that exist to both the player and the world they inhabit. So when we're exploring, for example, when we're exploring with Samus, you can see everything on the HUD is the same thing that Samus is experiencing in that world. There's just something to be said for the way that helps tell the story. We've talked about visualizing the narrative before at EG. I think that this is something this game does extremely well. And part of that is by the environments feeling so realized. It feels like when you jump into when you jump into Talon 4, you're basically jumping into this world where like everything already existed. Everything was already living. You have like fish floating around. You have creatures that just look like they exist in this world. And when you enter those new spaces, it's like they've existed a long time before you got there. It's not like exploring something like the Mushroom Kingdom, right? So if I'm going through a Mario game, they're not just arbitrarily placed from point A to point B. Like this is a world that exists, and you are exploring it for the first time. So one other thing that I want to say, just real quickly, is the way that this game tells its story through its visual storytelling. It reminds me a lot of the first ever game that I brought to Epilogue Essentials, which was Returnal. This is a game that feels so distinct to the Metroid Prime series. This is just like one of those things where I can pull it off from just about anything else. I have the world here was designed by artist Andrew Jones, but Android Jones. It has a very specific kind of visual language, one that I'll actually drop in the chat after this presentation is over. A couple of other things that I wanted to mention. Prime has one of my favorite scores of all time. It's buzzing with wondrous music that encourages exploration, like the Talon Overworld theme, daunting tracks like the Magmore Caverns theme, and environmental quintessential tracks like Phendrana Drifts. It's something that really revolutionized the Metroidvania genre into a 3D space, and I personally feel like nothing has quite accomplished that same feeling ever since. Like even games that have done it to a much lesser extent, like Pseudo Regalia that I talk about quite a bit, they just haven't done what Metroid Prime was able to do. One of the reasons that I wanted to talk about the GameCube version in particular is because when you're playing this game and you're controlling Samus, it really feels like you're operating a machine with the controllers and the triggers, which is something that I really enjoy. It just feels so good to have in your hands. It feels like you are controlling Samus in a way that is very particular to that kind of controller. So yeah, I wanted to bring a game that feels nothing like nothing else. To me, that's nothing quite like the first experience in Metroid Prime, and it does this magical video game thing of letting you explore a world and telling its story through that lens. It's unique to the video game medium, and Prime excels at it. Shout outs to Samus Aran, who's cool as fuck. And that's that.
Let's give Ben a hand. Good presentation, Metroid Prime.
Thank you.
And would anyone like to start?
I'm making this disappear, by the way, so we're going back to the papers, please, just to make it so I can read chat as well.
Does anyone here like to start off with a question?
Sure. Oh wait,
I was just gonna say, is this available on? I don't think so. It's not available on the Nintendo Switch Online for GameCube, right? Like the GameCube version.
No.
Okay, gotcha.
I was gonna say, if you don't like first-person shooters, like do you think this game can still be approachable for those who are not really fond of either first-person games in general or just first-person shooters?
Certainly first-person shooters. I always struggle a little bit with like the people's relative enjoyment of first-person games because there's a whole host of things like accessibility issues and what have you. So I won't speak to that in particular, but I think as far as like a first-person shooter goes, a lot of what you're doing in this game is locking on and using it in a way where you're not having to navigate or aim in quite the same way you would normally with a first-person shooter. So it never really feels like a first-person shooter to me. Again, it feels much more like you're operating like a machine. It's almost equivalent to playing something at the arcade. It feels more like that to me than it does just like your run-of-the-mill controller first-person shooter. So it's one of those things where I certainly feel like I am getting to go on that adventure with Samus, and the controller is like my operating tool. So yeah, I think it in almost every sense of the word, like anybody who's scared of it just because it looks like a first person shooter in some regards, it's really doesn't play that way.
I really like the comment from Finks in chat there. It's a first person adventure. I actually love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I was just kind of wondering about the GameCube thing because I really like you saying like playing specifically the GameCube version is awesome. But I mean, I'm gonna guess you wouldn't recommend like you only have to play GameCube, right? Because I know it's remastered for Switch, right?
So that was the only thing Roy asked me if I wanted to bring a specific version, and I just said the GameCube version for no other reason that the controller in particular is the way that I like to play that game. So it's and I know you can actually use the classic controls on the remaster, so it's really dealer's choice. Hopefully that answered your question. I'm not sure if I totally got to it. Okay. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. There's ways to play it on GameCube.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been having a question, like I'm trying to brew how to actually ask the question. Like everything you've been talking about is like has the great visuals, like the drops landing on the visor and just how it feels to actually play. But there wasn't really much about what exactly the gameplay is about. And like especially with Metroid Prime compared to other Metroidvanias like Pseudo Regalia and stuff, it feels like there's a lot of backtracking a lot of pointless backtracking, but there isn't really much to do in the meantime.
No.
Like you go all the way to Fendrana, you get Boost Ball, and you have to go all the way back to Talon Overworld, and there's like nothing to do in between the Magmore Caverns. Like
I hear your question, and not to interrupt, but I know exactly what you're trying to say here. And for me, what you call pointless is the exact opposite. It's a familiarity with the world that we get to explore as a result of going back and forth in these spaces. And I know for some people that is not going to work because it's not new and invigorating. But for me, it made me feel like I was living in this world. The fact that I had to go to and from various places made me feel like I had to navigate it. I had to learn the ways to go. I had to learn, whether it was like certain shortcuts or different avenues that would get me there safer. It was just like part of being in that universe. And for me, finding new ways to get from one area to another was part of the point. So it never felt like pointless. Backtracking, I guess, backtracking in the same way that we do through all sorts of unique places that we explore, both as people and in games, right? And that's one of the reasons I love Prime. I love the familiarization that takes place while you're playing that game.
I was actually going to bounce off that and say something about Metroidvanias. I mean, it's a Metroid game, right? Like that makes the game so good is that the backtracking is rewarding. And it feels good to backtrack. Would you say that Metroid Prime accomplishes that?
Oh yeah, I mean, like given all of the new options you're given over the course of the game, like just being able to experiment and mess around with that, both in terms of like how you move, how you navigate enemies, it's just so fun. And I do think, that's a credit to the genre that Metroid helped invent, but like being able to take on the same enemy that you took on with no power-ups or no abilities at the beginning of the game, and then being able to take on that same enemy at the end of the game when you're fully juiced up, there's nothing quite like it, right? So that feeling of progression is so important and pivotal to why I enjoy Metroid.
Okay. I think we're about out of time for questions. I guess I'll just add the one last question from Spock.
Yeah.
Jumps from 2D to 3D are often really rough. How do you think Metroid Prime managed that balance going into this game?
I think they managed it well. I think that, again, the art design is just, it's one of those things where this world felt so well realized in a three-dimensional space. It felt lived in a way that I don't think a 2D space can quite feel like. Even like recent examples like Silksong or like an Ori, it doesn't quite work on that front for me the way that Prime did. And I think that that's part of what I love about that game, is that the three-dimensional space helps sell it as a world that I've been like plopped down in and am fully immersed by. So that immersion is a big part of it for me, and that was the real thing that they had to strike between the 2D world and the 3D world, is like, okay, well, how are we going to use this space to immerse our players more? And that's exactly what they did.
Let's give a hand to Ben.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Shorley.
Hi.
We doing a little swapperoo here?
Yeah, let me.
You want me to
say goodbye, chat?
Right,
say goodbye.
Yeah, you can turn your stream off and mine will be going up. Let me know we're good, because I do not have.
We're not going to be good
open
for just a second, because I'm going to also pull up Lucor's stuff to make sure it's ready to go for when he does that. Okay. Okay. All right. Now we are good, I believe. So whenever Roy is ready to go.
All right, my stream is up on the stream. Okay.
Yep. Whenever you start, I'll start the timer.
All right. I brought Baldur's Gate 3 today. Baldur's Gate 3, for anyone who doesn't know, is a party-based role-playing game. It's available on all these platforms here, including even Steam Deck. And it's developed and published by Larian Studios, if you're familiar with them. What is Baldur's Gate 3? Baldur's Gate 3 is officially licensed by Wizards of the Coast, so they adapt the D&D 5th edition rule sets to a video game. Obviously, there are some unique twists they make on it to make it smoother for a video game experience, but it is, for the most part, the D&D 5th edition rule set. It has an original story that takes place in the Forgotten Realms setting. When you start off, you'll create your own character. Much like any other RPG, you have a ton of options to choose from your race, how you look. Within your race, the different classes you'll play from. There's 11 different races with 31 sub-races total, and 12 classes with 46 subclasses total. This is including the new updates that have happened since the game first released. In this game, you can play with anywhere from 1 to 4 players. You could have any mix and match, and if you're playing solo, you can pick up NPC companions to join you on your journey, who have their own storylines. The story. You start off. This is very, very early in the game. You start off. You got infected with a mind flayer parasite. A mind flayer is what you see in the top right there. If you're not familiar, it's basically a soulless squid creature that eats brains. So you don't want to be that. Well, maybe do, but tons of optional side quests that you'll find on your journey. While your main journey obviously is to get cured from that, right? So, but you'll find tons of optional side quests. You can interact with a ton of people you meet who may be looking towards the same goal as you, or also just other things in the world, right? Helping out a town or something like that. Each companion that I mentioned does have their own unique story. You can play as the companions yourself, so if you play as the companion instead of making your own character, you can also experience the story through their perspective. But also you can help them alongside your created character if you want to do that. There's tons and tons of choices and branching paths that you'll get to make throughout the playthrough that do have lasting impact on the story. And also the story is fully voice acted, including a narrator that will narrate like stuff happening, like, oh, a scary man approaches you, right? The gameplay. So when you're in combat and stuff, it's, like I said, it's the D&D 5th edition rule set. So that's turn-based combat. But they smooth some things out, like if you're playing in a group and you all share the same initiative, you all get to act at the same time, which is a very cool experience. All your roles are automated, so if you ever played pen and paper D&D, obviously, you might have an experience of people taking really long to get their roles, or just trying to calculate stuff can be hard. This smooths that all out. It just instantly does the rolls and calculations for you. There's over 600 spells and actions to choose from in the game, just within combat. Multiple difficulty settings, some added after the launch of the game, some having permadeath mode, where if you party wipe, you completely have to reset. Also, some very beginner-friendly ones that are very forgiving. Honor mode is the one I mentioned with 1 save slot, and also adds new boss attacks as well. And you can get really creative with the combat in this game, even more so than maybe some D&D stuff, where you'd pick up your teammate, throw them at an enemy, they'll take damage. You could pick up your teammate and hit an enemy with them. I've played Baldur's Gate with 2 of the people in this call right now who have also picked me up and hit me at an enemy. Against their better judgment, but that's happened. And what makes it special? So this is just it's such a good introduction to D&D as a whole. If you've played it before, if you played D&D before, you're gonna have tons of fresh experience because obviously it has its own original story. It's also one of the best adaptation, I would say the best adaptation of D&D into a video game. But also if you're new, like it's a very easy to get into video game. It explains everything to you. You can not really, you don't have to engage with all the mechanics if you don't want to. It kind of can like streamline you to the through the harder mechanics, and you'll just learn as you go. So even if you're a new player, it's very beginner friendly. There's just tons of different ways to play. I've been playing this game for over 575 hours, and I still see new content. When I recently played through with Lucor and Witch, I saw new content I'd never seen before in that playthrough. It gives an authentic D&D experience without the need for a group or a DM, which is obviously D&D is a scheduling nightmare a lot of the times. So this cuts out needing a DM and needing someone to come up with a story. You can just pop in and play this, whether solo or with a group, but then you'll have to schedule that. But and also, like I said, this game has had a ton of free updates. I believe they are fully done with their major content updates, but even since launch, they added new difficulties, a photo mode, and 12 new subclasses all post-launch. And it's just a phenomenal game. I put all the awards it's earned on screen, not even all of them, and also a picture, of course, with me with Sven, because this is a sponsored presentation.
All right, and we're about out of time. Let's give Shorely a hand.
Epic picture, Shorely.
Would you like to start us off?
As a past companion on such a journey, You know, the one thing that didn't really sit right with me, even though I was the one that did this storyline, was and we talked about it, how one of the classes, Dark Urge, is almost more so the definitive class if you're gonna get like the true experience throughout the entire game. And I just like I'm still kind of curious as to why they would lock the content of like your full involvement to a game behind a single class. Like why? Like, what's your take on them separating that experience opposed to just having it be a general to every class?
So if you want so Lucas talking about the Dark Urge origin character.
Dark Urge, sorry.
You can create that character yourself and use whatever you want. If you want the actual reason why it's separate, Dark Urge is actually technically a returning character from Baldur's Gate 2, and it has lore implications from those games. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty, but I think it's a unique way to play the game, and I think it is sort of like obviously it kind of pushes you obviously to have dark urges and have evil intentions, right? Which you don't have to follow, right? You can break that, right? But but I think that they didn't want to force you into a experience where they're forcing you to be evil, especially because I feel like in a lot of these RPGs, people want to try to experience all the content. If you're going through and killing people because the urges are telling you to, I feel like they didn't want people to experience that on their first playthrough. And I also think that there's plenty of story content, even just with a regular created character. But I think Dark Urge has that cool, like, hey, this is a more involved creative character, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the like creative character, right, it's just a clean slate. You can do whatever you want. You can mold your character from there, right? Much like a tradition, like, if you're playing D&D, right, you come with a character. You're like, hey, this is my stuff, right? And now I'm dropped in.
Right.
Okay. All right. I think I'll ask a question at this point. This is the one game being brought tonight that I haven't beaten myself. Spoilers for Lucor's game slightly. I've tried to start this up a couple times. Like, I've gotten past the intro stuff, but I've always been with a group. So it's like, that it's difficult to get a group together for D&D kind of thing. So I'm thinking about potentially trying this on my own, maybe. But also, 575 hours, you're still seeing new content. That feels daunting. Like, how many hours would you say would it be to get the essential experience? Like, this is supposed to be an Epilogue Essential.
Yep. So I think my first playthrough was with Nick, Nick's fiance, and my friend Ted. Our playthrough took around 100 hours. I would say we saw a lot of optional content, not all of it, but I would say one playthrough is enough. That's all you need to do. Like I said, I've fallen in love with this game. I've been playing it. Like, I'm not even playing it expecting new content. I'm playing it like, I'm like, yes, I can't wait to do this again, right? And play the different classes. Obviously, there's a lot of different classes. But like every once in a while, like we'll do a weird choice or an interaction might happen a little differently from how I've done it like all the other times. Or like I'll fail a roll in a dialogue and then something unique happens. So there's definitely not like, it's not like, oh, I'm missing like a ton of stuff. You can definitely go through, get most of this. Like, I don't think you need to see every way a side quest can play out and stuff like that. Honestly, for me, with a lot of these games that are like this, I only need one playthrough and I'm like satisfied. Like, to me, my first playthrough of this game is still like that was like my definitive, right? I think of that as like my canon playthrough. Everything else I've done since then, I'd take a little less seriously, right? I just kind of go through because I have so much fun with the game, right? But I think one playthrough is enough. And like I said, that took me, I think, 100 hours, like almost on the dot. But I could see people with varying playstyles going for anywhere from 60 to like 120 on one playthrough.
100 is still scary, but then again,
it is still scary. But like I said, this is it's worth it. It's worth it, I think.
I have a quick follow-up to that, if it's okay, Roy.
Sure.
So I also have not played Baldur's Gate, or more accurately, I have played the first 15 hours of Baldur's Gate. And it wasn't that I didn't really enjoy my time. It came out when I was doing the EG Award show, and I couldn't give it the necessary time, I guess. But I have a lot of friends who have played this, and almost everybody either explains that the first act was the strongest for them and the third act was the weakest, or at some point they dropped off after the first act. How do you explain or justify the existence of like a 120-hour game? Do you feel like the third act sort of, justifies that kind of time?
I do. I know. I do. I have heard like the sentiments you're talking about with the third act falling off. I love the third act. The third act is my favorite. Like I actually, my acts are just in the order. It's 1, 2, and 3 for me. I think 1 is the slowest for me. Maybe it's because I played it so much, right? Obviously, I think a lot of people have on games you might not have made it to the other acts, but I love the third act because it's the conclusion to all the stories that you've been building up to for the entire game. Like I think that it can be overwhelming because like I said, it's the conclusion to almost all the sub stories. You'll meet characters you met in Act 1 or Act 2. Maybe you didn't even see them in Act 2, but you met them in Act 1. Then it's coming back around to this because in Act 3 you're in Baldur's Gate, which is a bit the titular place of the game. So that's like it's the finale of everything. I think people get overwhelmed because all their side quests are there. They think they have to do everything, which once again, there is plenty of content you can do. I don't think you have to do every single thing. If you're not interested, obviously you don't have to do it, right? It's a role-playing game. You should play how you see fit, how you would think you would act in the world. And I think that the conclusions are definitely pay off. The finale of that game is one of my favorites of any video game I've ever played. And I do think that it's a crazy strong end. I just think that a lot of people do get overwhelmed by like I said, almost nearly every side quest you start in that game will end in Act 3, or you'll have like a follow-up in Act 3, and I think that is the overwhelming, or the part why people fall off, is they get overwhelmed and then kind of quit out.
I think we're out of time for questions. Again, let's give a hand shortly. And we have our finale up, Lucor.
Okay, I believe I'm up on the Lucor wheel. So let me just make sure I get everything correct here.
Should I leave my screen up or?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, so we should not have to say goodbye to them this time, chat. Everybody say hello again to the panelists. Hello. They're here forever.
Hello.
Okay.
Actually, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm streaming my browser, so I am not able to see Lucor's video right now, so I might need...
Oh, yeah. Can somebody else boot up a video in that case? Never mind. Sorry. Shorely's killing everybody. Goodbye.
Or I could just stream something else, but I'm going to have to drop it, or you're going to get...
No, you're good. Roy, can you just boot up a stream of anything?
Oh, I shared if you want.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
That does the trick. Yeah, we should be good. Okay. Hello. You're here forever. All right. Lucor, whenever you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm good to go whenever.
Okay. Chat, let me know about volume.
Tale told for centuries. You're the hero given the quest to defeat a great evil, to save your land, or loved ones. Many times a representation of the trials and sacrifice someone will put themselves through to achieve their goal. Many video games, movies, books, media in general have done this exact story countless times. But there's one game that did it almost poetically, while almost answering an equally timeless question many people have had about this heroic trope. Bluepoint put their heart and soul into making this once gray and brown game into a visual spectacle. Just walking through the woods made me feel like I was a kid again, looking for newts in the backyard after rainfall. The beauty of the world is how decrepit and abandoned it is, remnants of a once-was civilization now overgrown and shattered, reminding us further of how alone we are here. There's no one besides you and your horse. At times, the quietness feels peaceful and reassuring. Then other times it feels overbearing and oppressive. It's so interesting how stripping you from social contact can have such a profound impact on your individual experience. Now, I'm one for yapping and story narrative, but something feels so unique about having one set goal in mind and doing it with no idle conversation between. Sure, there are some scenes with Simlish and in-universe language, but they are so few and far between it. It's almost more of a reminder that there are other people in the world besides you. Even though it might feel like it, you never were truly alone. Your journey begins with learning of these ancient colossus. You were told they lock away the power you need to revive your loved one, which then creates such an interesting dynamic of blind trust and heroic hardship. We don't ask questions, we don't second guess, we only do what we're told out of desperation. But the Colossus are no joke. Video games love to give their player a power trip. They want you to feel strong and capable, like this behemoth in front of you is just another roadblock for you to plow through. But the Colossus are not just another Goliath for you to conquer. No, you have to be quick, cunning, efficient to overcome this challenge. The best way someone described the Colossus to me was walking puzzles. You can't just run at them and hack your way to victory. You must use your opportunities and wits to find openings. Every Colossus has a weak point, but to get to that weak point, you must be smarter, faster, and brave. Many times you're holding on for dear life as they thrash around and drag you along their path. Each encounter turns from a mission to kill these monsters to a mission of survival. Once you finally do overcome this seemingly insurmountable challenge, you are not met with fanfare or trumpets singing your victory. Instead, a somber, almost haunting hum as you watch this once was skyscraping beast slowly collapse. Even from the start, the game makes you question if this was the right thing to do, if we really needed to take a life to save a life, but your quest must go on. The amazing thing about each Colossus is they all have their own rules and environment to complement their unique physicality. Sure, the objective stays true for each encounter, but to get to that point is never the same. They constantly are making you think how you will scale or outsmart them this time. And I know a sore point for many that played this game was the climbing or walking on the Colossus, and personally, I thought it worked extremely well. Outside of the beautiful world to openly explore, scaling the Colossus felt so real and dangerous. Not many games have given me that stomach-dropping feeling like this game did. Everything about getting whipped around or smashed up against scales was so immersive. If you were an ant trying to hold on to strands of hair while a gargantuan beast was trying to buck you off, then you're gonna flop around like a leaf in the wind. Honestly, the hardest part for me is not spoiling this game because the ending is one of my favorites in all the games I've played. Now, I'm gonna play hopscotch a bit and say it breaks a lot of traditional tropes. This might sound redundant, but it's an expected twist almost. Through your journey, you get the sense that something's amiss, and when you get your answer, it, to me, was extremely satisfying. I truly think of what little Shadow of the Colossus gives you for story or narrative it makes up for in action. It doesn't have to spend 3 chapters explaining itself, instead it just lives in the moment of what you, the player, is doing and the subsequent events that follow. Shadow of the Colossus hit every beat for me, and I genuinely think it is a game anyone can find something to love in.
Hell yeah. All right,
let's give a hand to Luke
panelists.
Lord.
I am gonna move. Let's see if we can find a freeze
We only
frame
do
here.
what we're told out of
Okay,
desperation.
well, that's a little bright. Let's see. Roy, whenever you're ready for questions.
Does anyone want to start off, or I can start off if you guys want?
Go ahead.
Back when I was a kid, like playing, I got this, like, I think I got a PS2 version, or might have been a PS3 like port. I fell off of it pretty hard because it took so long to get to the next Colossus. I spent like half my time just navigating the world trying to figure out where to go. It didn't feel like nonstop action like I was hoping. It was like the Colossus fights were great. It just took so long and I was getting lost. Like, how do you feel about this time in between the Colossi? Like your path to get to the next one?
I honestly think those were some of my favorite times. It went like the non-combat and just the world exploration, and I kind of touched on it in the video where it's like you're like just alone and in this world that you've never been in, and you have to find your way about to these next objectives, no matter like what stands in your way, type of thing. So yeah, there's like a transfer time between each fight, but I think that only highlights the fight even more once you get there. And like I think even getting lost, and I've got lost a handful of times, like for an hour, and it almost felt more immersive in that sense because it's like I don't know where I am, I don't know what I'm doing. And you do have like the compass guide with your sword, but even that like only kind of gives you a vague direction. which like thank God, because if you didn't have that, I mean, really you would be lost. But having the compass to get you in the right way, it at least puts you on the right foot. But still, I genuinely liked getting lost in this world, and it's kind of back to what Ben was talking about in Metroid, where it just felt like a world that existed before you were there. It's like frozen in time, and your presence is the only new thing that's touched in however long.
All right. So anyone next?
Yeah, I'll go. With Shadow of the Colossus, obviously the way you fight a lot of the Colossi is climbing them and hitting their weak points. How do you feel that the controls of the game and climbing the Colossi and like exploiting their weak points, right? How do you feel that plays into, like, obviously, you know, not knowing what to do the first time, you're stuck, like, you go to climb them, you get shaken off, and you're just stuck, like, repeating this loop while you try to figure stuff out. How do you feel that Shadow of the Colossus handles, like, the, I guess, like, I don't know, the nuisance of trying to figure out a boss's weakness without, you know, like your first time going into a boss fight, right? You don't know what the weak point is or how to get to it, right? So how do you feel like it avoids getting you stuck in that loop of trying to climb it and getting shaken off and whatnot?
I think that loop is just kind of the natural integration of each Colossus. And what kind of is interesting about the first one is that it teaches you that you're going to have to scale them. It teaches you, like, all right, this is like, if I'm going to get to where I need to be, I'm going to have to scale this thing. And you're going to get thrown off. You're going to get pushed off. But, like, you know, that's kind of the general direction that you need to go. And yeah, I mean, there was a handful for me personally that I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, well, how have I like not grabbed the ledge that I need to? Like, you just like, there's so many times I had to reshape the way I was thinking because it allows you to get to this point. It allows you to fail successfully, if that kind of makes sense. Like, one Colossus comes to mind where like you're allowed to scale up half of its body, but then you get to a point you're like, well, now what? Like, where am I supposed to go? But like, and it's another, like I kind of said in the video, where it's like you have to constantly be like thinking of new ways to approach it. You can't you know, it's the game avoids you getting stuck in that loop because it expects you to think. And I kind of said it with the walking puzzles is how it's explained to me, where it's like, okay, well, the square or the square piece doesn't go in the circle, so well, now what? Like, where does the square piece go? So I kind of like that it like made you step away and be like, well, now what? What do I do now?
If we still have time, I have a super quick one.
Yeah, go ahead.
How, just in your own words, how would you describe the time it takes to get between Colossi or Colossus? Like, how was exploring the world? Just generally.
Exploring the world was, I mean, one of my. I showed a lot of highlights of just running through it. I mean, it was on. And I said it earlier in our like pregame of like getting everything set up, but it's like the now I'm losing my words. I apologize. It's just kind of an experience of seeing what's out there and what's like what you can explore out in the distance and having that general sense of exploration. Like, you want to go and check out every nook and cranny, and it's like, which you have that objective that you're staying true to, and like the time between getting the Colossus is kind of that time to like investigate. It's that time to like search what's beyond. Like, you know what you're supposed to do, but like, wow, what is this world that I'm in? So I think the game kind of allows you that time to not only take some reprieve and like, you know, use it, because sometimes it's a bit further of a hike than others, but I think that kind of goes hand in hand with like the challenges that you faced coming up and just then. I think it was almost not meticulously, but exactly placed so you can recuperate and kind of gather yourself for the next one. But like also putting on that like daunting, like isolating, I'm here by myself feeling, like as you see the world expand and get bigger and everything.
All right, we got one chat question, then that'll be it, I think. We have a question from Alesh. What would you say about the critiques that the controls are awkward and hard to interact with? Like, you're fighting more the controls than the Colossi.
I I've heard that, and I can't speak for the older variations, and that's why I specifically brought the PS4 version because that's the version that I played. I didn't have any issues. I mean, I can understand where some people might get frustrated and upset because, like, admittedly, this game, I mean, I don't want to say it's the first to do it, but it's an early adopter of that Breath of the Wild stamina holding on system where, like, you are, if you're not utilizing your time appropriately while you're doing it, then you're gonna have this hardship of fighting with the, well, you're not even really fighting with the controls, you're fighting with the mechanics. Like you're not using your opportunities and your time correctly. So like I understand the critique and I understand where people, especially when it first came out, maybe were frustrated because it really did do something special and different that maybe wasn't like as I talked about it when I played it for the first time where it's like I feel like maybe I had a little bit of a head start with playing games that use that stamina mechanic prior, where if someone played it with PS2 or like back in the day, I can see it. But like I don't know. I get the critique, but I don't personally agree with it. I think it worked perfectly fine, and I rarely had any issues with it.
All right, let's give a hand to Lucor. Now,
Well
at
done,
this
Lucor.
point, we have to go through all the panelists. All the other panelists were deafened at the time, but we're going to go through and give our top three. Number 1 rated game gets 3 points. Number 2 gets 2 points. Number 3 gets 1 point. And they'll DM me their picks at that point, and I'll tally it all together, and we'll have our new inductee. So if everyone else can deafen since I get to go first.
Yeah.
Chat, don't spoil the picks because we have to like know when to.
Right.
We gotta
don't
know
spoil
when to
the
go.
picks in chat. I will, or whoever is presenting will just message the next person.
We're going in the order of the games, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will take my headphones off just so chat can still hear, obviously. So goodbye, chat.
All right. So everyone deafened? All right. So this was kind of a tricky one for me to figure out my third place. I'm going based on just the presentation quality and like if they answered the questions well, if they presented well. So unfortunately, like my last place is not getting any points is Persona. Like touched on the RPG stuff, never actually touched on the main reason why I like Persona, which is the whole time management aspect. So my fourth place is Baldur's Gate, which is a tough one as well. Like all these games are so good. It's really hard to narrow this down. I just think Baldur's Gate wasn't as solid of a presentation as the other three. But number 3, Metroid Prime. It was good presentation, but I feel like it wasn't as good as the other two. The other two ones were really well done. Number 2, I'm giving the Shadow of the Colossus, which Lucor did a really good presentation there. It was like almost the same style as mine in a way. But I gotta give number 1 to Papers, Please. That was just doing that in one day. Nick did a really good job of explaining why all your choices are actually the whole point of like making your choices impacts not exactly the gameplay, but all these moral dilemmas you have to deal with. It's a perfect epilogue essential, I feel like. So next is Falcon.
Okay. Hello. Can you all hear me? We good? Who's after me, by the way? Oh, it's Nick. All right, cool. Hi. I up until literally 5 seconds before I saw Roy at me, I was debating this. This was tough for me because the key to Epilogue Essentials is, right, we're voting based on the presentation we just saw, and we had to leave preconceived notions behind, right? Because I think that some like these games are really, really good. We knew their like Metacritic and OpenCritic scores beforehand, that like they were bangers, right? Like, because I know mine's a highly rated game, and I'm like, why am I down so low? What do these people bring, right? I see BG3, right? It's like that's an all-timer, right? But if I'm just like kind of listening to what we discussed today and like listening to these games being presented, I think number 1, I have to go. Here, I'll cover my mouth so nobody can see. Number 1, I have to go Papers, Please. Papers, Please, the way that one of the Knicks presented that made me very, very intrigued to play this, right? Just this unique game and this unique experience that you can't get elsewhere. That's going to be my number one. Number two for me probably has to be La Mulana. Artie Moose with a great, great point. I'll put my modesty fan out. I think that La Mulana has to be number two for me because I don't know. Do you know I've played La Mulana before, and one, I mean, it's an epilogue essential, right? It's an epilogue essential, and this game is so famous in epilogue gaming, of course. But like even removing that from the discussion, again, just the uniqueness of how Roy presented it is amazing. It sounded great. It makes me want to play it. Like even though I've already played it, like I kind of want to play it again. Listen to that. And number three, the way that Lucor described Shadow of the Colossus, I didn't cover my mouth. Makes me want to get into that game too. You know, it was kind of a toss up here between the last three. I really didn't know what to put here, and that's my last like 5-second decision was like, you know what? Just the way that he described the I think the key for me was that the story is not like super, it's not like not super in depth, but yet it's satisfying, and it kind of makes you feel satisfied. Like it makes it sound like the game is connecting with the player, and that sold me that. So Papers, Please, La Mulana, Shadows of the Colossus. There we go. Who am I tagging now? One of the next. All right. All right, there we go. Thank y'all.
Okay, I guess that's my cue. Chuck, can I keep it a buck? It's actually so ominous, like waiting for everybody else to go. I'm just sitting here like, oh my god, what are they saying? What are they saying? Everyone's messages are just deleted. No, this is rough for me. Because yeah, I mean, a lot of those presentations were great. I gotta hand it to Lucor, I think, first, because something I'm a sucker for, and I think Lucor nailed it, is I love the way he portrayed the feelings evoked from the game first and foremost, and then went into like the supplementary, like why the the gameplay harmonizes with that, right? So I think I got to give it to Lucor first. And Ben's presentations are always spot on. He says just the right things that hit for me. Anytime these presentations happen, Ben always knows what to say. So Ben's always a great pick, and also at the same time, I don't know what everybody else's thoughts on it was so far. I mean, it must have been just Roy so far. I kind of liked how Falcon put his nuts on the table, so to speak, in the sense where it was like, hey, this is Persona 5. You know what it is. It's awesome. It's easy to get into. Yeah, like I kind of like that. Like I think that was kind of hype. Because it was just so like, it was just so direct, because you like, who's gonna have to sell Persona 5 like crazy, you know? Like that's like so awesome. So I did really like that. And Shorley and Roy also had great presentations, but I think just to keep it a buck with you guys, chat, I think I'm gonna have to go number 1 Lucor, number 2 Ben, number 3 Falcon, I think. So I guess I DM that to Roy now, or maybe I'll pass it. Who's after me? Ben? If you can't tell, I haven't done this before. I'm just gonna add Ben. I'm not sure how much time I have left, but that's really my takes on it.
All right, I will. Yeah, I think I'm good to go. This thing on, chat. Can you all confirm this thing on? I want to make sure I didn't mute myself. I can't actually scroll. So I assume you all would be spamming me if I was. This was really, really brutal. A really brutal choice. It always is tough, but today I thought in particular, just like so many good games and a lot of like heart and soul and what was brought, and that's like, for me, I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. So my third pick, my pick for third place is going to be Roy's Llama Llama. I just think La Mulana is like one of those things where it's like, you've got to love the shit out of that to talk about it the way that Roy does. And it's not like he's alone, which I think is neither here nor there, but like the way that he does talk about it is so passionate, and that just really works for me. Like, I don't even know. There's a couple of things that he mentioned during the presentation that were like, oh, I need to play that game. I've fallen in love with like the note taking genre of video game, as a lot of y'all know. I'm a sucker for it, but like at the end of the day, that is like not an easy game to pitch or sell to anyone, and it just comes down to how much Roy loves it. Like, that's, you cannot replace that. Which is not to say like, good God, like Shorely's put, however many hours into Baldur's Gate 3. It's just like Roy's love for La Mulana goes beyond just playing it a zillion times, which he has. That's my third pick. My second pick is, this was really hard because I thought Nick's presentation was so good and convincing. I also like Papers, Please. But so Nick is my second vote for second place. And I really felt like it was just another one of those things where like Nick does such a good job of talking about games from a personal space. And you all know, like, that's how I love to equate my games to like moments in my life and what they mean to me personally. And just like the way he framed it as really being like this sort of guide or river of empathy that you have to experience to get the full experience here. Really just drove home how much what a classic Papers, Please is, and I think he did just such an eloquent job of talking about it. Again, like the passion wins out there. My number one pick is going to be Lucor's Shadow of the Colossus pick. Man, I will tell you, chat, like Lucor is good at what he does. That was a convincing video. It was well put together. It said a lot of things. Like, I've written long essays. I've done conference presentations on Shadow of the Colossus. He said things that I hadn't said before. Like, he said things that I hadn't heard other people say about this game before. It's just hard to do. Just like, and at the end of the day, for me, it's all of the presentations were great. Shadow of the Colossus is an essential, man. Like, that game needs to be played. So I'm voting it for my number one. And that's that. That's that. I don't remember, chat, who was next. Lucor went last, so I got to tag at Shorely. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble. See you later, chat.
Hello, chat. Can you hear me? All right. If everyone can hear me, then okay, let's get into it. All right, let's go 3, 2, 1 to make it really climactic. Okay, so I think I've made my mind up. I think at number 3. Oh wait, so I mean, it's really hard. It would between number, like, I don't know. All these games were great. All the presentations were great. Honestly, this might be the hardest lineup I've had yet, but at least like to choose which one was my favorite out of the lineup, right? Or like, what presentation I like the most. But at number 3, I think I don't know. See, oh wait, part of me wants to give number 3 to Persona, right? With Streaming Falcon's presentation, but I'm just gonna be honest. He did not beat the game, which, like, genuinely, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. But I've played the game. I like that game. I think it, like, he's cooking. I think he's cooking with everything he said. I just don't think that it's. I'm like, you haven't beaten the game. Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's like a personal thing. So I'm like, whatever. And obviously there's, I don't know, the other ones are like La Mulana and Shadow of the Colossus that I'm like torn between, right? Shadow of the Colossus I got gripes with because I think the combat is personally, I think the combat is anticlimactic to the whole epicness of the game. Obviously I think the game looks great. Everything about the game is presented very great, right? But I feel like I don't know, I have a problem with the way like the game is like, I don't know, the way the game is played out, right? And La Mulana, I think that Roy had a great presentation for it, and I do like a lot of the points Roy brought up, right? But it's just like it's I don't know. Like I do like the experience of like a first playthrough of a game that's very like a lot of things that you just can't really explain, right? And stuff like that. Like you got like environmental storytelling. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, right? And you learn it as you're playing it, right? And that's super neat. But I think I'm gonna give third place to Streaming Falcon with Persona 5 Royal. 2 is gonna go to Metroid Prime with Ben. Once again, it's another one of those things where it's a game where the environmental storytelling, the like the world building and stuff like that, that's stuff that's really immersive and like I don't know, that's something I value a lot in a game, right? Is the storytelling, world building, stuff like that, stuff that really makes you feel like you're in the game world, right? And it gives you a very unique experience. And like that's something that sticks with you after you play a game, right? And I think that that's very valued. Ben talked about it a lot on his presentation. The game, I've seen the game around. I have not played it myself, but that is a game like I've seen around, right? And it does like very much feel that, right? So 2 would be that. And number 1 is going to be Papers, Please from one of the Knicks. It's, I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone who's been here since it happened, the presentation was great. I agree with like a ton of the points that were brought up. Once again, it's another one of those games where it's like a first playthrough. Like, obviously, you can do multiple playthroughs, but it's another one of those games where it's like you do a playthrough of it and it makes sense, right? It's just like I don't know, like games that just where the first playthrough sticks with you. When the first playthrough really sticks with you, that makes a game special for me, right? When a playthrough is very unique and like everyone who plays for the first time is getting their own experience, like that's something that I extremely value. I've played Paper Please. Like I agree with what a lot of, like I said, all the points he brought up. So that's number 1. That's number 1 for me. Okay, let you know, I'll pass it along, brother. Guys at Lucor. Someone at Lucor, I did it. I didn't do it right. I didn't do it right. Okay.
Muted. Hi, I'm muted. Hi, gamers. Hi. Bro, don't. No, not you, dummy. No, not you, dummy. Professional. Yep. All right. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Wow. I mean, honestly, like this was one of the best nights of presentations that I've seen. But also the easiest picks I've ever made, which is like concerning because like I feel like everyone did great, but like there was just such a specific outliers for me. And I genuinely think everybody's presentation was incredible. Was it as good for you as it was for me? I hope so. I mean, all right, so we'll just hop right into it because I don't want to be Surely One Yap over here, so we can get the show on the road. I know Ben's looking at his watch over here, but I definitely am gonna. We'll do like streamer, do your top 3, right? Number 3 is gonna be Metroid Prime, and genuinely, that's because 1, I'm a huge sucker for GameCube era games. 2. I just really like, and it's a kind of a very similar sense of why I brought Shadow of the Colossus, was this like immersive lived-in world that Ben was pitching. I did have a question for him about the story of it, but you know what? I'm willing to kind of go in the same light that like Shadow of the Colossus is, where it's more about the experience and the gameplay rather than like the story and everything else that's going on. So 3 is Metroid Prime. Now, if we're talking presentations and someone that sold me on a game that I've never played before, but I'm willing to take his word for it, 1N being a first comer did spectacular. And I gotta like, I don't know if I'll ever get around to playing it. It's not really my personal speed of game, but I can totally understand. I mean, I've seen the cultural impact, and I'm huge on cultural impact. Like, I will love a game solely just because of the acknowledgement of what it's done for the gaming atmosphere. Aside chat, these essential nominees. Okay. Well, hold on. Let me get through it. And then I'll assign it. Assuming you're asking me.
I'm not Epilogue. I'm not Big EG. uh, but yeah, I think when I did a fantastic presentation for a game that I never played. And honestly, like I've seen so many iterations done of that same game with the gameplay loop and everything, that like its impact is undeniable. And I love stuff like that. And then call it bias, but call it bias, but Baldur's Gate being one of the only games on here that I've actually played is irrelevant because it's like I've only done the single playthrough, but I genuinely see its potential. I don't truly understand what we were getting at with the playtime. I've never, like, how in the world is like a game having content a bad thing? Like, oh no, the game that I bought, I have to play it now. Like, I didn't understand that argument against it, because it's like, I think as long as it's new, fresh, and engaging content, like, what does it matter? Like, I don't, like, I mean, if it's new stuff you're experiencing, then it's like, that's good. That's a good thing. So, like, I think for what Shorley was saying with the 500 plus hours and still experiencing new stuff, I think every video game should be like that. Maybe, like, I don't think it should be like the playtime that it was, because I think our playthrough was like 40 hours, for every game, but I think there should be that possibility of it, right? So I it's definitely an easy 3 Metroid Prime, 2 Papers, Please, and 1 Baldur's Gate. And you know what? If I'm a betting man and who loves gambling, everyone in chat who loves gambling, I'm betting Baldur's Gate's taking it here. But that's what I got. All right. At done. At done.
I think we're back.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Let me just get this last tally.
Yep.
The tally on who yapped more, right?
All right.
Shirley or Lucor?
Yeah.
We have our.
Did I go the longest? Come on, guys. It wasn't that bad. I tried to. Dude, Skia's like, bro, this guy's oxygen and is getting
have our
directly to
winner.
his Oh.
Well, I'll go in reverse order, I guess. Just go from the bottom up.
Sure.
In last place is actually Persona 5, somehow. But don't feel bad for getting last place. Like, look at all these games. Look at this lineup.
Crazy lineup.
Yeah. This
Insane.
honestly might have been, like I said it to the chat, but this might be the hardest like lineup for me personally, like to choose from.
Like, if you look at the critic rating, 4 of these games had above a 90. Like, Metroid Prime is a 97 and Baldur's Gate's 96.
I genuinely, like, if I were to pick like a top 3 of who was going to go, Persona was up there. So I'm genuinely shocked by that.
And, well, second to bottom is actually a tie. A tie for tie for 4th between Llama and Baldur's Gate.
Really?
So I guess I can genuinely say that Llama Lana is as good as Baldur's Gate.
Ben, what have you done?
Next one up, like in 3rd place, we have Metroid Prime. Good job getting 3rd place, but unfortunately, at this point, it's only the 1st place and the runner-up are eligible to come back, or like only the runner-ups are eligible. And in 2nd place, we have Shadow of the Colossus, which leads to what our 1st place is. It was like a 4-point differential, like not even close. Is Papers, Please.
Wow. Oh
Amazing.
Congratulations,
Congrats.
Oh my god. Thank you guys.
Dude,
so
why'd
much.
you bring this ringer in?
Yeah.
Like 3 first place picks, 2 second place picks. It was like not even close.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm surprised only because it's very experimental, and it is a hard sell because of the subject matter. And you guys all brought incredible games, so that is surprising.
You brought the heat one in. You brought the heat.
Yeah, it was all about the presentation. Like that was what I based everything on. Like my favorite games of the ones brought was probably Persona 5, but I didn't even rank that in my top 3 because of presentations. No offense to your presentation in general. Falcon.
Falcon, I ranked your presentation first because it was fucking awesome. No, I didn't. I didn't resonate.
All right, so now we need to chat poll,
no
right?
leaks on my votes, chat. No leaks.
Hashtag leaked.
So now we have the remaining 5 games. It's up to you, chat.
Do I need to start the poll here?
Yeah, I
don't
think you need to. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we yap while?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please do.
I was throwing shade at you, Falcon, for bringing a game you didn't beat, but you know you still got my 3rd place vote. Hashtag
I
leaked.
played my. I was about to say, like, I played my game longer than some people have played the games they brought, and I still haven't beaten it.
Well, Falcon, I also got to say, I gave you one of my votes because I loved how just direct and confident you were with it. You were like, this is Persona 5. It's the easiest Persona to get into, and it's Persona 5. And here's why it's awesome. It was just so like rapid fire confidence. I kind of sold me on it, even though I've beaten it in the past. I've beaten 5R in the past. But I was like, wow, that's an awesome way to go about like a mega hit game. Just be like, send it. You know, I thought that was so funny and awesome.
I had to look away from chat when I was presenting, so I was just looking at all of you, and I just see like one of the Knicks here, just like I was like, well, that's good. No, it's funny because like I was saying that I'm going to speak specifically to your presentation because actually, well, my I'll tell you guys my votes. I don't really care. I voted for Papers, Please 1, La Mulana 2, and Shadows of the Colossus 3 because I think what sold me was this like thread throughout the 3 of them where you presented something to me that was like very unique in the sphere of gaming, and that really got me. I because I don't know. I think I played all these games, right? No, except for Shadow of the Colossus. Actually, I haven't played that. But yeah, just I don't know. Just the way you described these games as being something unique. Lucor specifically, like you kind of gave like at the end there, you said that it feels really satisfying. And that like spoke to me as a game player. I was like, "Ooh, you know what? I like when a game does something that like they know I will experience as good and not necessarily just like I need you to experience this. Like no, like I know you're going to like this." And that was like really cool, right? So the way you all I mean, you all kick ass every time. It made it really hard, but yeah.
This was a very tough one, yeah.
All right, chat. The poll is up.
And,
I'm genuinely shocked on Baldur's Gate's placement. That was my number one. And you know, I think I've only played it the one time with Trolley and Witch, but like even just that playthrough like was like very impactful of how I viewed kind of tabletop gaming and how it could be streamlined and made in a more accessible stance. But like that being said, like even just like the presentation of it, I just was like, I don't know. I said in my like yapathon there that I'm like, guys, I think this one's gonna win. And then I don't know. And then it was Ben or Papers, Please was my second, just I mean almost solely entirely by the presentation. Because I have never played it, but I've seen so many iterations of games that use that same mechanic and that same sort of gameplay loop that like I'm huge on cultural impact and like seeing, yeah, maybe like the first game, not in this case specifically, but the first game isn't so much as popular as further iterations, but like when you go back to the source and you see what spawned this branching paths of other games that use that same, like there's so much credit to give to that game that dared create that pathway, right? So I really liked learning more about Papers, Please, because I knew so much that derived from it, but not as much of what it was. And then you know it's very struck home with what Ben's presentation was to me, where it's like that kind of being placed in a world that exists before you, and like that like almost was exactly how I felt about Shadow of the Colossus. So I'm like, dude, we're on the same wavelength with these experiences. Where it's just like I like to have that feeling of I'm somewhere. I'm not just like I'm not in a simulated environment that was like curated for me to walk through. It's like this was gonna be there after I leave, and it's gonna be there before I leave, and it's I just love that kind of thing. So Also, I'm a GameCube shill, so that's always a factor.
I mean, something I also wanted to say, LDD, I voted for Shadow of the Colossus in my top votes too, mainly because, and I mentioned this with chat, but you kind of popped off of it with Ben and Metroid Prime. I love focuses on how the games make you feel and how that harmonizes with the gameplay. And you nailed that in your video and also in your responses. So, and it's out of the games here. I haven't played La Munada, I'm probably butchering it. Prime and Shadow of the Colossus, but I loved the way you demonstrated that point. Yeah, I'm always a sucker for that, and I try to hit that in my in the thing for Papers, Please, because it's really about finding an emotion that a game instills in you that makes it worth playing, right? And you nailed that with like the world and how the story is like kind of like a parody of itself, and you did a good job of that.
Yeah, I guess I'll take a second while this poll wraps up to talk about my votes. I for me this was really hard because I think much like Alesh, like I did kind of feel the from the heart for both Falcon and Nick. It's like the giddiness when somebody talks about a game can really only be experienced when somebody talks about it live. But also, I mean, like the way that Luke or Roy and Shorley talk about their games from like, those are things you all have said about those games several times over. Like I've heard them from you all several times over. Like how many times have I heard some of those things about Baldur's Gate from Shorley? And like to me that also speaks to a level of passion. And that's why this choice was really difficult. I wound up going with Shadow of the Colossus for my number one because I really voted it mostly based on, I don't know that necessarily like based on the games that I thought should be listed, but Shadow of the Colossus was sort of the tiebreaker because of how much I love that game and how much I do think it is an essential for everybody to play. So looks like the poll is about to wrap itself up. And we have a pretty close vote, but it does look like Shadow of the Colossus is also going to be an Epilogue Essential. Metroid Prime hangs on for dear life, so we can bring that back, I believe, right, Roy, under the new rules. Yep.
So we have 3 banned games: Baldur's Gate, La Mulana, and Persona 5. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Those 3 are the ones.
Yeah. So we've got to wait a whole ass year for any of those to be brought back. We are, chat, gonna go ahead and raid out. I'll give everybody a chance to say their goodbyes, and we'll go ahead and start with Shorley. Tell us where we can find you, what your stream schedule is like, that kind of deal.
I'm Shortleapums1. I stream Monday through Friday from noon Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, and I don't know. I'm gonna be playing Katamari tomorrow. And I'm going to be playing Resident Evil. I'm going to be finishing Resident Evil 2 Remake, which I started on Halloween the other days.
Excellent. Roy.
I'm Roy Master 4. I haven't really had time to stream lately, so I don't want to talk about that in general. Too much other stuff going on, but hopefully I'll be back soon. TM.
Excellent. Lucor.
Hi gamers, I'm Lucor, and I, like a lot of other people here, I do variety, but what a big thing that we're currently doing right now is 100%ing the entire Spyro console franchise, and we're going to be doing that tomorrow. I usually stream Sunday through Tuesday, which 5 to 11 p.m. Eastern, and yeah, we're going to be kicking that back up, and then later on Metal Gear Solid 5. So we got quite the variety going on of a large umbrella of content.
Chat's freaking me out, but we still got time. Falcon, go ahead.
Hi, I'm streaming Falcon. I'm a variety streamer now, and I'll be hosting the oh my gosh, the EG Awards, also the Essentials EG Awards. It's gonna be a really good time. I'm gonna be playing one of next year's Epilogue Essentials, Claire Obscure, pretty soon. If you want to see that, because I know everyone wants to see that. I love you all. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Can't wait to see you in a couple months. Goodbye.